I was first a millionaire by the time I was 18 and then no longer a millionaire by the time I was 19. Every decision I seem to make, even though it's the right decision at the time, is the wrong, most horrible decision ever. I put almost all my money in like 3 days right before COVID hit. And then within that 3 days, almost my entire net worth dropped over 6 figures. And I was like freaking out. And I'm like, oh my God. Originally I put all my numbers together and I was expecting a 4% kind of growth rate. But luckily for me, I had a 27-year FIRE plan that ended up being 9 years.
Welcome to a new episode of the Nomad Summit Podcast. After our little escapade with special episodes about traveling China, we are back to sitting down with a guest. And today is an in-person episode recorded by me, Christoph.
Me, Alexandra.
And me, Seven Chan. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you for being on the show. Actually, Alexandra met you here and invited you because you left quite an impression on her with your FIRE journey and the meetups that you're organizing here in Da Nang. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been hosting FIRE groups in different cities everywhere I travel for the last few years now. And this is my third time in Da Nang. And I want to build something that felt like a community of like-minded people. And I think a lot of people use that term really often, but when you meet a bunch of FIRE people, you see that a lot of your values are aligned, and that gives you guys a lot of things in common. So in the last, I think 5 or 6 weeks, I've hosted maybe 30 events, also because I'm fired and I am bored and I'm always looking for something interesting to do that I'm passionate about.
Our listeners here of this podcast have heard this abbreviation before. For example, when you listen to episode 18 with Mr. Nomad Numbers. But for those that are new to the show, what does FIRE actually stand for?
It's just a really simple acronym. It started with FI, just financial independence, and then it built onto FIRE, financial independence, retire early. So it's just the concept of being financially free and not necessarily having to work. You can still work, you can still make money, and you can still pursue different passions, but you're just not obligated by like survival or needing to pay your rent or bills and things like that.
If you want to dig deeper into that and haven't heard about the term, press the pause button now, type it into Google or your favorite LLM, and you will surely find more around the digital nomads community as well. But today we talk about how this is important for a location-independent lifestyle. And I think, Alexandra, as you have digged into that and found a speaker at the last event, Fabio, talking about this topic, tell us how you perceive this community growing into or aside of or parallel to the nomads community.
Yeah, I feel like FIRE is something that is interesting for everyone, really. And it kind of is a goal for everyone. I mean, that's like a perfect lifestyle, right? When you can work on anything you want, any passion projects, any job that you want, but without having that financial pressure to really chase the highest paid gigs or whatever, just to make it through the months. So in a way, I feel like this is something that everyone wants. It's just that not everyone can make it happen. And I think these kind of stories are always interesting. And yeah, I put a lot of work into finding at least one of those for our conference, because I feel like this is the North Star for the whole digital nomad community, if not for all the people on the planet, really, to be able to have more freedom, right? That's what Nomad Summit is all about as well.
For me, my background, I've always been a business person. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, and I'd say I've always been good at making money, but I never really knew what to do with it. So throughout my lifetime, I've been a millionaire and not a millionaire maybe 3-4 times. I was first a millionaire by the time I was 18 and then no longer a millionaire by the time I was 19.
So you're also good at spending?
I've been really not good at spending, actually, but I've just always done what I thought was the right thing, do the research, make the good investments, follow like what's popular. So like I've bought a bunch of different houses, trying to do real estate or renting things out. Or I've like bought Bitcoin when everyone's like, buy Bitcoin, this is the next thing, But like, no matter how much research I do or how much learning I do, every decision I seem to make, even though it's the right decision at the time, is the wrong, most horrible decision ever. So
You mean in hindsight?
yeah, in hindsight, yeah. So like for
It's
me,
a little depressing.
yeah, I mean, I've definitely,
But also probably quite uplifting for people at the beginning of their journey who are, I had some money, I invested it, I lost it all, I'm bad at it, and I don't do that anymore. But if you had that in your journey as well, maybe you can encourage people to get over this.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, I was doing a lot of the right things, just maybe the timing wasn't right or the luck wasn't right. And then a lot of times, life just gets in the way and things happen and then you have to start over. But when I discovered FIRE, this was maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, it taught me how to do things that I guess I was just never good at or I was afraid to do. So like one was like tax optimization. I've spent or paid, maybe $1 million, $2 in taxes in my lifetime. And big part of that was just I was like too scared to learn what like 401ks are or Roth IRAs or those kind of things.
So these terms now give it away. You are socialized in the US?
Yeah, I'm from the US and I currently live in Las Vegas, where there is no state income tax, which is another thing like I learned throughout this process. But like aside from that, like, I mean, the biggest impact was that FIRE taught me how to invest my money in a way that wasn't gambling or trading or like I had to be an expert at anything. I just followed the same path that the majority of FIRE people or choose FIRE people choose. And what that did for me is give me a place to put my money in a way that I never really have to worry about it. I just let it sit there. I don't really touch it. I don't have to check it every day or freak out when the market goes crazy. And really pushed me ahead of my journey in a way I didn't expect. And I was skeptical when I first found FIRE too. But I put almost all my money in like 3 days right before COVID hit. And then within that 3 days, like almost my entire net worth dropped over 6 figures. And I was like freaking out. And I'm like, oh my God, like, should I panic sell? Should I, do the things that, historically other people do in the past? But, I really just started to reach out to other people in the FIRE community and they gave me this kind of like peace of mind, like, just wait, just be patient. This is how it works. And thankfully I did that and I waited and within a few months to a year, all my money came back. But not only that, I saw the power of how fast it could actually grow in these kind of investments. So over the course of my FIRE journey since around 2016, originally I put all my numbers together and I was expecting a 4% kind of growth rate. But luckily for me, I had a 27-year FIRE plan that ended up being 9 years. So now
Wow.
I retired or mostly retired about a year and a half ago. So it took me maybe somewhere between 8 and 9 years instead of 27 years, which is pretty cool and pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a good progression.
You mentioned that at the beginning you bought some houses. From the context, that sounds like that didn't go so well. And today your investment strategy looks different.
Yeah, I mean, I have 4 houses in different places around the world that I'm trying to just offset. This is kind of like in between figuring out FIRE and then my past businesses and things like that. So my plan is to sell pretty much everything I have, become untethered and just continue traveling.
Then bricks and mortar how does that fit in there? You say in different places around the world. So you use them also for yourself as like different home bases when you travel to countries, or are they purely investment?
I've acquired these houses in many different ways. I mean, Las Vegas is like my actual like home base, and I rented out.
And you acquired, like, that sounds like you won it in a poker game.
No. Like, I mean, one was like strategic, and then like Las Vegas is like the only place in America that feels like home. I have one in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I used to have 12 different businesses. So I had a house there, I had a car there. I still have it. I'm trying to get rid of it. I have a place in New York that is flooded and the foundation's messed up, and I have to just figure that out, but it's just kind of sitting there. And I have a place in Hong Kong that I have random other issues that I'm dealing with. So like, I think for me, like, I thought real estate was going to be, you rent out the houses, it's easy, it's simple, but there's always going to be something that happens. And if something hasn't happened yet, it's just waiting for something to happen. So, like now that I know about fire investing, I would love to just sell everything, put it in there, and I don't have to think about it or worry about it or fly back somewhere to go fix a water heater or something ridiculous, you know?
So where the real estate was the first business that you had? How did you get money to buy the first house, let's say? Because it's always the beginning is always the hardest part, right?
Yeah, so about, I think in 2015, 2016, I sold my last company for pretty much nothing. It was an e-commerce company, and it really just was like I was unhappy there. We were number 3 in America, doing millions of dollars in sales, but I hated it. You know, I mean, me and my partners were always fighting. So I decided to just go be free, you know, so I left with pretty much nothing. Everyone's like, you're crazy. This is like a terrible idea, you know, but I'm like, no, I believe in myself. I'll be okay. So, in 6 months of like wandering around, I got kind of bored and I went to real estate school to try to become a real estate agent. And, within maybe 3-4 weeks of that, I met my business partner. We finished real estate school, but never used our real estate licenses. And then we started our first, restaurant. And that was the thing where everyone's like, "Oh, do you have any experience with a restaurant? Do you know anything about any of it?" And I was like,
And you
"No,
were
of
like,
course
no,
not."
no e-commerce.
Yeah, no.
Same.
Yeah, same. But I mean, for me, all business is the same. It doesn't really matter what kind of business it is. Like my skill set kind of applies. So we started our first restaurant, and within 3 days, I was like, I don't like working in the restaurant. So I figure I try to apply my skill set, you know, outside of like, you know, like cooking, cleaning, and that kind of thing.
But how did you get into that? Like, what kind of restaurant? I met so many other people who, at one point in their career, were like, "Oh, I think it's a smart idea. I should open a restaurant." And the story always looks very similar. They found a property that looks like the perfect location, and then found a good chef and stuff. Like, how did you get into this?
We didn't do any of that. We did it all by accident. So my partner or my friend in real estate school was like, "Hey, you want to start a restaurant?" And I'm like,
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah. So
Why not?
one day I was in an Uber, and then I was talking to the Uber driver about it, and then he's like, "Oh, I know like a cool place. You should go check it out," you know? And it was this tiny like little food hall, and I didn't know, but it was run by like a slumlord lady that just like takes advantage of everybody. So we just went in there, and she's like, "Oh, you want the space? You have to open a restaurant in 3 weeks." And then we're like, "Of course, that's how, you know, like, sure, why not?" You know? And then we bought a like refrigerator from like Home Depot and a sushi counter, like top fridge. And we opened in about 3.5 weeks. And then I realized that maybe this isn't a good idea. So I started applying what I knew to like in other businesses to the restaurant. And that's really just like my strength, which is finding a competitive advantage compared to like, you know, what everyone else is doing. So I figured out how to go viral on day 3, and we got the biggest blogger in the city to come, over 300,000 followers. And I was the first person ever to say, "Hey, not just come to my restaurant and try the food, but if you come right now, I will name something on the menu after you." You know,
That's a good thing to offer.
yeah. So by day 3, we had a line of like 200-300 people outside every single day. I had to learn how to make sushi. I had to learn how to like do all these things I've never done before. And I guess long story short, within a year and a half, we were the most award-winning restaurant in our city's history, undefeated in over 151 competitions, awards, and festivals. Number 2 highest rated fast casual restaurant in America on Yelp, the only fast casual restaurant to ever do that.
Fast casual?
Oh, yeah. It's not
What
like a sit-down kind of
is that?
restaurant. It's kind of in between fast food and sit-down, you know?
Okay.
We were number 1 on Uber Eats, number 1 on DoorDash, and then we started franchising. And by, I would say, year 2 or 3, we're somewhere at around 30 restaurants around the country, or 30 franchises sold around the country.
It's a good
And,
story of how to say yes to something absolutely
yeah.
random, and then suddenly have this like business all over the country.
Yeah.
But also, as the listeners know, this story starts about fire, and what you talk about now is like the opposite. There must have been like a hard cut somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I knew that like, you know, being in the restaurant every day all the time wasn't for me. So we needed to find other ways to make money. It may sound like it was like magical, but like franchising was one of the routes we try to go. We try to like open sushi drive-throughs. We try to like, you know, sell to supermarkets, bottle our sauces, a bunch of different things. So we worked on a bunch of ones that were better or worse ideas, but franchising ended up working out. And after a while, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this either. I tell people like, I'm not a king. I'm a conqueror. I don't like to sit like on a throne and manage things or deal with people all the time because that drives me crazy. I like to build stuff. I like to win things. I like to go compete. And, so we were doing that for a while, and then COVID hit and things kind of like went a little bit crazy in both good and bad ways. And then I started pivoting into doing consulting. So I started taking what I knew in the restaurant business and franchising and helping other people franchise and helping people build and sell their franchises. And I was doing that for a little while up until maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And that's when I was like, it's probably time to kind of fire. It wasn't really my choice, but it kind of just happened out in that way. And I've been wandering around kind of since.
Just looking for your next thing to build.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I always get bored, or I always feel like I have to do something that like is purposeful and uses my skill set. So out of the like hundreds of fire people that I meet, most of them are just happy like hanging out, sleeping, playing pickleball all the time, but I'm always the one that's like, oh, I got to build something. I got to do something. So when I came here, I was like, there's no fire community. Let me start my own fire community. And it's been really amazing because in other countries or cities, usually it's like 5 people, 10 people. And here, like every event pretty much sells out or packs out. And it's like 20 people RSVP and like 40 people show up. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, but it's super cool.
What kind of people are that? Is it like other people that are similarly far in their journey and you just talk and exchange like some investment tips and tricks and some good buys this month? Or is it more educational about people that are just at the very beginning or not even started that journey and want to learn how to do it?
I mean, that's a really good question. Like what you described is kind of what I thought it was going to be, and then it wasn't that at all, But it's been a big mix of people between beginners, people that are getting close to fire and just kind of anxious about pulling the trigger, and then there's a decent amount of fired people too. Every week we do like a different kind of discussion or a different format. So we just try to mix it up, and I try to be like more a moderator or like a host than like a teacher or like it's a class or it's a workshop. And I just want to be an environment that people can share and build a community together. Like I don't want to be the main focus. I want everyone to like be like, hey, this is my story. This is what I did. This is where I'm at right now, There's no like selling or like, hey, buy my class or buy my course or consulting or coaching or something like that. And I mean, it's been really cool. Like there's always some people that come up to me afterwards and they're like, so when are you gonna teach me how to be rich? Like right now, And I'm like, no, you weren't paying attention. That's not how it works.
Please, maybe that's what the podcast episode should have been about. Teach us how to get rich.
Yeah,
right
I usually charge for that kind of class, but it's been really cool that like a lot of times people will come up to me afterwards and be like, I didn't know what this was, or I've like only seen this or heard about it, but I've never seen a community, and like, oh my God, this is gonna like change how I do stuff, And it's really cool, I think, for people just to have that engagement together. Meet people that are doing things that they've like read about or seen on Reddit or like heard on a podcast, So it's really cool and fulfilling in a way I wasn't expecting to have that.
But when you go to community events today, are you also doing that because you want to like a little bit mastermind style discuss with others about interesting business opportunity or investment opportunities today? Or what's your intention with meeting people in this community?
I mean, for me, like, I think I started it originally for myself to meet other fired people to see kind of like how they got to fire and like what they're doing now. But it seems like it's really different based on how they got to fire, which is really interesting to me. So like the path they took kind of determines what they do now. And
can you share some examples of how people reached fire, like without names and anything?
So I mean, I would say out of all the fire people here in Da Nang that I've met, maybe like a third of them just kind of worked really hard and saved their money and did like a very conventional kind of path. We have maybe a third of people are like they bought a bunch of houses at the right time, unlike me, and then were successful renting them out or flipping them. We have a few people that are like traders or kind of like stock or crypto kind of people. And I'm really surprised by this, but the smallest percentage are the people like me that are like former entrepreneurs or business owners. And we're the people that like don't know what to do when we're fired. And we're like, we gotta keep doing stuff, where everyone else seems to be like, oh, okay, like I reached my goal, I'm happy, and now I get to relax,
So it sounds like to fire, really, you need to go into crypto or into real estate or work really hard.
Yeah, it's probably going to be something, but I mean, for fire, one of the main concepts is just being able to save your money, like have a lifestyle that I would say, have manageable over time, so like a lot of people just need to figure out where they are and see what it takes to sustain like being retired or where their future is going to be. And I think a lot of people here are here because it's really cheap and expensive. So like we call something here Vietnam fire because it's way cheaper than like the rest of the world or most of the world. And there's a lot more Vietnam fire people here than I would have expected.
But what does your investment strategy look like today? I think most fire people just decide for a bunch of ETFs, have a plan where money goes in automatically every month. Do you still also manage that a little bit actively in the sense of like timing the market, have some additional cash lying around for good opportunities? Or is it completely hands off for you and you just follow a strict plan?
I mean, my plan is kind of reallocating all of the assets and things I have now into those like ETFs, like the S&P 500, and I want to do less and less because that strategy has actually worked the most. I think a lot of people feel like they have to like check things every day or trade all the time, and for most people or the majority of even experts, like the more you do, the worse it is for you. So just letting your money sit there and grow and consistently put money in until you're fired is probably like the best way or my favorite way. And that's what's been working for me.
Normally, the path to fire includes some kind of frugality aspect of it as well, or strategy on spendings. But it sounds like for you, it happened more like naturally and organically with the growth of your businesses and of course some savings. But did you have that frugality part or like strict budgeting or something like that as well to be able to save enough money to fire?
Yeah, absolutely. And I am a saver and I am like I don't say cheap person, but like I love deals, I don't know if it's a part of like being Asian. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had to like put in sacrifice, and I've definitely just like been very conservative in how I spend, but that's just kind of how I naturally am. So like, I love, let's say when I'm here, I love shopping at the Vietnamese market. Like everything I'm wearing right now, which the viewers can't see, is like $2, $3 from the market. And I love it. And like, even if I had like billions of dollars, I would probably be exactly the same. And
so you're like that typical millionaire, as people describe that, like people who just started making some decent money, they want to show off and they wear expensive brands, but people who actually made so much money and are millionaires and are very successful, they are the ones wearing $2 t-shirts.
I love being comfortable and I've never been stylish, and it does fit in with the fire lifestyle too. So yeah, it's been great. And here, no one has to wear suits and ties and really go to work. No one really even has to wear pants and shoes. So like I get to wear flip-flops everywhere, and that's great too. But I think comfort is a big part of money saving. Yeah.
And also it's a question of mindset. So it was for me really important at one point in my life, like a click. I mean, I was never someone who bought expensive stuff and had some like satisfaction from that. But the other way around, like if you can buy an extra portion of a stock or an ETF or something, make some investment decision and execute that, that's something that gives great satisfaction. And if you make that like not only a habit, but basically like your obsession, instead of buying a new pair of shoes or fashion or something, buying this extra stock or ETF, buying an asset and get the satisfaction from there, then your mindset changes, and every dollar, euro, dong spent becomes not something that you in your mind make part of your monthly budget. Like this month I paid so much or spent so much on restaurants and stuff, but it becomes in return something that is not earning money in the future. Like $1 spent today is, if you have this fire mindset,
$10 in 10 years.
Yeah,
if you spend it on new shoes instead, then you don't get $10 in 10 years.
Like, yeah, if you in your head always run that against your target appreciation or interest rate or something, and you're in between like spending this dollar today or having a bigger amount in your account in 10 years, then that's the mindset change.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. And I think when you have a purpose of what you're doing long term, it doesn't feel like sacrificing, So I know a lot of people in the FIRE group that they said they ate spaghetti every single day, and they bought 100 hamburgers for $1 a piece, and they just ate it for 94 straight days or something like that. It sounds kind of terrible, but like now he is retired and one of the youngest people in our group. Which is super cool. So like, I think if you know what you're working for and that thing is a greater purpose,
how healthy does he look?
Bad. He's been playing a lot of pickleball, so I think he's working on it. Yeah.
Now he has time to bring back the health that he lost by eating 100
If he
burgers.
listens to this podcast, I'm not saying his name, so he doesn't have to. So not everybody needs to know, but yeah.
I'm curious about the geography of the people who have fired. Would you say that the majority of them that you've met are from the US, or is it like equally distributed from other countries as well?
It's been a mix. I think it just depends on the season here and like the week or the day or what's going on, which is I think a big part of Da Nang. But I am really surprised to just see how many FIRE people there are in this community, and it's a good mix of everyone from everywhere. Yeah.
Nice.
You want massage? No hair?
We are now here in Da Nang in Vietnam. You mentioned you're not here for the first time, but you're not from here. So you're celebrating your location independence now as well. And how do you do that? What are the places that you usually go to?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, this is my third time here, and every time I just kind of stay longer. And I think for me, this is my like base or like home now in Asia. It's really cheap. It's easy to get around. And my schedule just kind of depends on how strong or weak the dollar is. So I usually spend like my winters in Europe, which everyone thinks is like crazy because it's super cold, but that's my favorite time. And Asia is now like the majority of my time just because it's the cheapest, and the dollar to the euro is really bad right now. I came from Germany, Vienna, and Prague right before here, and it's almost as if like every $100 I spend is like almost $140 now with conversions and fees and just random things. So I'm really happy to be here and like enjoying my like $2.56 like meals, or my dollar grabs, or my apartment that's like cheaper than my air conditioning bill like in the US.
So Europe this time of the year, that sounds like you're probably a winter sports person. You like skiing and snowboarding, or what brings you to?
I mean, in Europe, they have terrible air condition in the summer, so I need to go somewhere that I can manage it, So if anyone knows...
Have you considered shoulder seasons?
I don't know. I mean, I also like it there because it's pretty in the winter. They have like Christmas markets.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I've just like made friends there, so that's where I have just gotten used to like rotating through there at that time too.
Yeah, sure. And everyone has their favorite places and favorite seasons. Like, I love to spend my summers in Estonia. You don't need much of air conditioning up there because it's not getting too hot, but it's really beautiful.
Where are you originally from, though?
I'm from Germany.
Oh, okay. So that's where you're we're more delicate in the US. Yeah. So we struggle there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
with the temperature or personal stuff.
So temperature. I mean, I think for most US people, we need good air condition. I think it's around 20 degrees Celsius. Where I think everyone else may be a little bit more durable than us. And then we just want a really soft bed, which here has been really challenging, but I have found a place. So if anyone needs that, you can reach out to me too. Yeah.
Okay. You guys are so spoiled with all your first world comfort.
Yeah, it's just those two things, or like shower curtain is great, and the water doesn't get everywhere, but that's a luxury here.
Yeah. At least here in Asia, yeah. You have your shower head just in the middle of the bathroom, but not in Europe. So even in Northern and Eastern Europe, no worries. There are even like glass shower doors and stuff. Not only
it's
curtains.
fancy. Yeah, like when I go back there, like after being in Asia, it feels like everything is like bougie and luxury, which I love,
Yeah, but on the other side, I guess we are all here because we love this little organized chaos. especially of like traffic and everyday life here in Vietnam as a good contrast to.
I mean, my favorite things here are really, compared to all the places in Southeast Asia, is one, the price for sure. But I would say just as importantly, or more importantly, is like the community here is, I would say, different and special compared to like, I don't know, all the 20, 30 like nomad places I've been in the world. And this is definitely my favorite.
How is it different here?
I think the people here are, I wouldn't say like different and weird and a bunch of misfits, but in a way that's like great and like special and magical, where you made it go to like a place like Bali and there's a lot more like yoga people, holistic people, a lot of people that want to be DJs, or you go to Chiang Mai and it's like, just a different vibe. Where you go to Bangkok and a lot of the people are a little bit more established. They live there long term, but here's a good mix of like short-term people, long-term people, and a lot of people that are both discovering themselves and what they're doing, building what they're doing, and already established. And when all those people kind of combine, it's really cool.
What's the best way to reach out to you?
I would say on Instagram or WhatsApp, so I think if you're from the US, Instagram is probably what makes sense. If you are not from the US, WhatsApp is probably the best.
Seven, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
This episode of the Nomad Summit Podcast was hosted by Alexandra Masneska and Christoph Hübner.
No has.
The theme music was by Divyas Shea, aka Divi the Audio Nomad.
สวัสดีค่ะ
And it was produced by me, Palabo, of radioguru.co.uk.